All right, so this is the spiral of silence media effects model presentation.
So this is a brief description of the model. The model describes people's willingness to express their opinions based on their perception of the opinion's popularity. Therefore, people with unpopular opinions tend to remain silent, while people perceive their opinions as popular are more likely to express themselves.
All right. Elizabeth Neumann, she's a female political scientist born in Germany and lived from December 1960 until March 25th, 2021. The spiral of silence model, which is described in the spiral of silence public opinion social scheme, is the most well-known contribution to this theory.
So, Elizabeth Miller-Neumann was involved in research during the 1965 German federal. There were two parties involved in the election. The first party was the Christian Democratic Union, Christian Social Union, and the second was the Social Democratic Party. They both remained stable for most of the campaign, which is 45%. But suddenly, during the last few weeks of the election, the votes for the CDU-CSU party increased to nearly 50%, while the votes for the SDP party dropped to 40%.
Why was it necessary to start this research? Was it to improve on another theory, or did they see something in the society or in their own research? So the spiral of science refers to the study of human communication based on their opinions, like how they express their opinion in public regarding certain issues they face, despite the fact that those issues that they face are popular to the other like people or not. So this research was started by the German researcher Elisabeth Noel, and whose purpose was to identify and solve the problems within the society. So it started on seeing something in the society itself.
And here you can see main points of their theory. So the first point is controversial issue. People often have an unconscious fear of being socially isolated, which drives them back to seek out signs of approval or disapproval from others. And to avoid the risk of isolation, individuals might hold back their views on controversial topics to steer clear of criticism and disapproving looks. And second point is popular opinions. When individuals believe their opinions will be well received by society, they are more likely to express those views openly. As a result, groups with popular opinions can become more vocal, which increases the perceived threat of isolation for opposing groups. And the spiral can create a cycle where the dominant group grows more confident while the opposing group remains silent. The third point is moral factor, and people are especially hesitant to voice opinions when they fear might be judged as morally wrong. Without this moral aspect, individuals might be less afraid to speak out. And the last point is media, which plays a significant role in shaping and influencing social opinions, often setting the tone for which views are seen as acceptable or unacceptable. Here you can also see the graphic representation of the theory, which shows how people with popular opinions on the top of a spiral are more likely to speak up, while those with unpopular opinions may be more inclined to remain silent. And it's also a great example of how social pressure can influence the way we express our views.
So the classic example of this research is the movie Mean Girls. So the Mean Girls is a very popular movie which is based on a school. So the in the movie there's a very important scene when all of the girls in the school are asked to gather at the assembly on something like bullying. They are told to close their eyes and raise their arms when they were asked some questions. When asked to open their eyes while their arms were risen, all the girls look around and immediately put their hands down in fear of rejection or judgments. So, according to me, this is a prime example of this theory. If they, because if they were asked to keep their eyes open, they would have most likely answered like dishonestly, or they wouldn't have answered at all. So eventually the movie ends very peacefully, and but it leaves a message, and everyone realizes that their feelings that are not kind of similar, and they aren't alone in the minority in the world itself. Yeah.
So for the strengths and weaknesses of the spiral of silence model, we have that this model explains why some people conform to certain groups because they don't want to feel isolated. Another one is that this model shows us how powerful media and public opinion is, and just how easily people are influenced and they have a desire to belong. Another one is this model explains why people with unpopular opinions might not want to voice their ideas out loud because you risk your ideas being shared with others, and that could have judgment. So for weaknesses, this model assumes people will be silent if something is controversial rather than speaking up for injustice. And an example of this would be the bystander effect. Another weakness is this model doesn't take into consideration the variety of media sources we have. For example, we all get our news and media from different places. And yeah, thank you.
And this is our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your attention.